Welcome to WakeGOV TV. I'm Eric Curry. We have several stories lined up for you today. County leaders recently held a forum to begin to talk about the way we think about transit. We'll have details later in the show. But first, in December of last year, the Wake County Board of Commissioners selected the new chair and vice chair to lead the board in 2015. The chair and vice chair will help to set goals and priorities that best meet the needs of Wake County citizens. So with that said, it's indeed an honor to welcome the chair, James West, and vice chair, Caroline Sullivan, to WakeGOV TV. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
First, as we begin another year, we'd like to take an opportunity for viewers to learn a little bit more about you two as individuals and talk about some of the board's primary goals and your focus areas for the coming year. But first, Commissioner West, you've been on the board for 5 years now. And this is your first time serving as chair of this board. Could you share with us a little bit about your professional and public service background?
Thank you so much, Eric. It is indeed an honor to serve as chair of the Wake County Board of Commissioners along with Commissioner Sullivan as the vice chair. I've had a fairly vast amount of experience in terms of my professional work as well as my role as an elected official. I worked with the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service at NC State University. My last role was Director of County Operations for the state of North Carolina, where our philosophy was to help people to improve the quality of their lives. Then during that interim period, I served on many boards and commissions for the city, such as the Boards of Adjustment, and then was elected and served 6 consecutive terms on the Raleigh City Council, with 4 of those terms being Mayor Pro Tem, and then moving to the Board of Commissioners, replacing Commissioner Webb, and very committed to people, and people are my first priority in life.
And Commissioner Sullivan, you've been on the board for 3 years now, and the same thing for you, professional and public service career.
Well, I was born and raised in Charlotte, and upon graduation from UNC Chapel Hill, I moved to Washington, D.C., where I worked on Capitol Hill and for trade associations. I met my husband there. We got married, and when we decided we wanted to have a family, I knew that I wanted to raise my family in North Carolina. So we moved back. I did some consulting work. I had my children. And since I've been back, I've been real involved in issues regarding children and families, especially children with disabilities. And I served on numbers of boards, including serving as the chairman for the State Association, the Interagency Coordinating Council for Children with Disabilities from birth to 5. I've also been involved in my children's schools and has served as NESL tutor and have been very involved in mental health issues.
Okay, Commissioner Sullivan, why did you decide you wanted to become a part of the Wake County Board of Commissioners?
I never really thought about public service per se, but when the opportunity arose, I realized that so many of the things I feel very passionately about really came through county government, local government. The issues with schools and families and early childhood education and disability services and mental health services all have such large county components, and the county is the entity that actually serves these individuals, so it made sense to me.
And for you, Chairman West, obviously you served on the Raleigh City Council, and when there was a call for you to step in to take over for Commissioner Webb, you decided to do so. Why?
Well, as I said, I've always been committed to helping people, and in a sense, I say that I'm working on my soul. And I think that the challenges that we have and the needs that people have, they motivate me and they give me kind of a reason for wanting to get up in the morning and to see the results and to say that I gave it my very, very best. And I meet people on a regular basis telling me how I have helped them, especially when I was on the Raleigh City Council. Sometimes when I may be a little bit down, it's just encouraging, and really it's very fulfilling to help people and have the right reasons for doing that.
As the chair and vice chair, you know that the challenges that we face with an economy that continues to go upward. having said that, what do you see as the priorities for the year? First, Commissioner Sullivan.
Well, growth continues to be a great benefit to the county and also a great challenge. We're back to those pre-recessionary numbers. We've got 42 new citizens moving into our county every single day. And with all of that growth comes some challenges. Primarily, you think of schools. We are in the middle of a large school building program. So we need to make sure that we provide not only the adequate facilities for our children, our students, and our teachers, but also that we're able to fund the operating expenditures for our schools. Also, with the growth, we need to look at how our citizens move around the county. So that transit discussion has once again begun, and I'm happy to understand that the latter part of this show will be discussing transit and talking about the first community-wide meeting that we had. And hopefully our citizens will get involved in this process, and you'll give them information on how they can get involved.
Okay, and Commissioner West, the same question.
Yes, I think that there's a tremendous interrelationship between the two issues that Commissioner Sullivan mentioned and the area that I see as a top priority. That area is economic development. But I think that we need to kind of re-examine. Recently we had a work session addressing economic development, looking at best practices and some benchmarking around the United States. And our policy is pretty much geared toward work through the Chamber of Commerce as it relates to incentives. But as I look at the potential and the needs in this particular county, we have done a study of hotspots or areas in the county where there are low-income and minority census tracts, and that covers a significant amount of the county in the eastern part of the county, starting with southeast Raleigh. And from that study, we find that we have about 120,000 people at or below the poverty level in this particular county. So I'm hoping that one of the things that we can achieve would be to look at a more diverse economic development policy that would be more tailored and specific, and that would really look at ways that we could increase income opportunities, that look at better job opportunities, workforce development type issues, creating business development opportunities, and create really a entrepreneurial spirit to bring wealth into those communities. And the nexus that I mentioned is that when you talk about education, the environment that family lives in, including the economic development, the means, those are tremendous factors. And I did make a recommendation to the last commissioner board related to looking at what our role as a county would be, looking at issues related to how we can work with municipalities, nonprofits, and et cetera, to begin to address some of these particular issues. We have programs such as human capital development to include the middle class express, the Healthiest capital county, and the social economic factors are a tremendous factor as it relates to improving the quality of life in this county and creating better neighborhoods and providing equal opportunity for all.
Commissioner Sullivan, for 2015, can you tell our viewers what we should be most proud of?
Well, I think Wake County continues to be a model of great local government. We are excellent stewards of the taxpayers' money. Our staff, our professional staff, not only are fiscally responsible, they really do care about the citizens and their lives. Wake County is one of only 40 counties nationwide to have achieved AAA bond rating from all 3 rating agencies. This is a great statement of our financial situation, and it also allows us to do things like borrow money for schools at the lowest possible interest rate. So I think all citizens can be very proud of the way the county is managed currently and in the future.
And Chairman West, can you, for 2015, can you give us some of the achievements that you hope to reach on the horizon for Wake County?
Well, Eric, the first thing, I truly believe that the key is going to be in our citizens and our residents. I truly believe that collaboration, creating a common framework, shared vision, shared values, and collective outcomes are very, very important. For instance, at one of our recent commissioner meetings, we had one of the committees to share things that they are doing in terms of improving the quality of life, health, and vitality in this particular county. So I'm looking at a way to bring everyone together to create synergy and really look at how we can move this county, looking at all the potentials. We get a lot of accolades and we have a lot of talents and strength, and how we can pull those together in a way that we will be fully aligned and that we'll be working toward a common goal. We will respect the different points of view, the diversity of our county, but we will embrace those things and look at how we can kind of pull people together around this shared vision, particularly looking at how we can work with our municipalities, how we can work more effective with the General Assembly, as well as fostering good relationships with our public school system. As Commissioner Sullivan has just said, that is kind of the bottom line in terms of our future and how we create a desired future, as well as our community colleges and just regional things, especially reaching out to surrounding counties, because we are an area of communities, and what happens in one section of this region impacts the other. And just basically to come together to look at how we can take different points of views, different mindsets, and move from not just my mindset to Caroline's mindset, but to our mindset. And that involves everybody in the county and everybody in the region. I know that's kind of lofty, but you have to start at some particular point. But we think that we have a great opportunity to do some great things for our citizens.
And finally, before we go, as the chair, vice chair of the board, what is a great New Year's resolution that you'd like to share with the citizens of Wake County that you hope the board will be able to possibly meet? As
you know, Eric, I'm kind of lofty and philosophical, and so I would say that spiritual infrastructure is something that is very, very important, in addition to the financial and the physical infrastructure. So I guess talking with Commissioner Sullivan, our joint resolution would be something to this effect, is to create an environment for Wake County and Wake County government for us to be a model of innovation, change, and to be a leader that everyone in this nation will look to in terms of excellent and high-performing government.
Well said. Commissioner West, Commissioner Sullivan, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
When we return, we'll share with you a community forum that was recently held in Raleigh that began the discussion of improving transit in this county. Stay tuned.
This new mom is struggling to get the skates just right. Now she's holding on for dear life.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of siblings in foster care will take you just as you are.
The Wake County Transit Investment Strategy Kickoff was held Monday, December 8th. The kickoff, held at the Raleigh Convention Center, was an important opportunity for the community to learn about the new transit strategy and begin discussing some of the choices and trade-offs that will need to be considered. More than 550 people attended from all parts of the community and participated in activities before and after the meeting. Those who attended in person, as well as those at home, had an opportunity to ask questions and get more information.
I came tonight to see what the new transit planning process would be about. I was very excited about the previous plan, but we didn't move forward with it, and I'm so excited to see so many people come and be engaged with how important transit is for our community.
I think there are several things we're doing differently here. First of all, we really want to have a conversation with the community about what your ultimate goals of transit are. I think it's often been easy to get into arguments about a particular project without really having a clear conversation about what the whole point of transit is. There are actually many different purposes, many different benefits that transit has, and we have to have a conversation about which of those are more important in this community. I think the other thing that's different is that I, as a consultant, make a point to never really say what I think you should do. My role is rather to frame the questions based on 23 years of experience going through this process in many other cities, and to really frame the questions that the community needs to think about, and that the stakeholders need to think about, and that ultimately the Wake County Commission will need to think about. As we go through this process, there'll be a series of points where a question will come out to the community, and we'll have some meetings about it, and there'll be some information on the website about it. So, and we encourage the community to think and talk in your own organizations about those questions. At one point, for example, we will present 2 maps of what 2 different ways that the plan might look. And we won't have a preference between those. The point with that will be to illustrate some different directions that the plan might go, and it'll really depend on what people think. So all the way through this is very dependent on community participation, people's engagement in the process, and that's really what's going to get us to the best possible plan.
Our timeline for developing the plan is essentially now. We have started the kickoff meeting tonight with the public. It begins now and it goes through the winter of 2015, the spring of 2015, and the summer of 2015 is the way we have it laid out right now. And a little more specifics along those lines. We intend to come out with our first product that the public will see called the Transit Choices document in January. And that will be a document that will tell the public a little bit about transit and about Wake County. It's not going to provide transit alternatives. It's not going to provide, certainly not a recommended network yet. Just some facts about Wake County and about transit in general to help set the table for the discussion. Later in the spring, we will come out with enhanced Transit Choices document, and that will include a couple of networks for the public to consider. And those network alternatives will be different and intentionally different to allow the public to consider some trade-offs, some of the things that we have to consider as we lay out a transit network. And so we're going to have public involvement before that and after that, so that we hear from the public during this process as we develop those initial 2 sets of alternatives, and then as we weigh the benefits of those 2 alternatives. And then in the summer of 2015 is when we really look to come out with a recommended transit plan that will really be what the community, what Wake County wants to see.
Well, I do a lot of traveling, and with the growth of Wake County, I see a big need in having some type of transportation section developed here.
My feelings from the transit meeting actually are pretty convinced that we need to move forward quickly. And I hope that this planning process is effective, but is also concise, because if we don't move forward soon, we're really going to be at a disadvantage to Durham and Orange counties.
Well, in a sense, the final product is a plan which specifies some things about what you want the transit network to look like after you have implemented presumably a successful referendum that generates the funding. It'll be at a certain level of detail. It won't be down to the level of what every bus route would do on every corner. It will be geographically specific about any major infrastructure, like certainly if there were a light rail line or a major piece of busway or something like that, that would be specific. It'll be specific probably about where the main commuter lines are, the links out to various communities and how they're connected. It'll be specific about something I call the frequent network, which is the network where service is always coming soon all day, mostly a bus network. But below that, it will probably be a little vague in general about saying this whole area will be covered with bus service, but we may not design the service exactly. The point is to get to just the right level of detail that people are comfortable going forward with the big ideas and to be able to measure the big outcomes. I want to emphasize one other thing though, which is that although the product will finally look like a document with some maps, in many ways the product is actually the conversation too. It's the conversations that we have that build people's understanding of public transit, that help them form clearer opinions about it based on what its advantages and disadvantages are. that are ultimately part of the product, because that product ultimately leads to some sort of referendum and some sort of decision on the part of the county, and we just want that to be an informed decision.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund breeding.
Why do you not get me?
I do. This is what it feels like for kids with learning and attention issues. Redirecting to understood.org.
Welcome back. One of the reasons Wake County is considered one of the best places to live is due to the talents of its citizens who volunteer their services and their time by serving on various boards and commissions which are appointed by Wake County Board of Commissioners. One of those groups is the Wake County Commission for Women, which advocates and honors women and their roles as vital contributors to the county. Joining us to talk about the Wake County Commission for Women is its chairman, Moni Singh. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Eric.
Tell us a little bit about the commission and its purpose.
So, as you mentioned, we are a citizens board. It's comprised of 15 strong and determined women appointed by the county commissioners, and our mission is to advocate for women in this county and to provide information about their status to the county commissioners. And our focus currently is to impact issues that are impacting employability of women in this county.
Why did you decide to join the commission?
Great question, Eric, and I'm actually going to tell you a little story. So many years ago, in a community where girls were educated just enough so they could be married legally and sent off to life of bearing children and caring for family, though there's nothing wrong with that, but these girls and women would not have a choice in that matter. In that community, a woman creates an opportunity for herself to get educated, graduates from college. She and her husband then have 5 daughters, and they're determined to propel their daughters towards lives of aspirations, choices, and opportunities. One of their daughters is sitting in front of you, and I know firsthand that right opportunities can make a big difference in people's lives. And many of my cousins and peers did not get that opportunity. So for me, it was creating channels so that we could recognize the effort that goes along. There are many, many hardworking women out there, many intelligent women out there, but most of them do not have the right opportunity. And to me, success has 3 ingredients. There has to be intelligence, there has to be efforts, and there has to be opportunities. So it was creating those channels so we could recognize, we could acknowledge those unrecognized efforts out there, and we could create a network to support those efforts. That motivated me to join the commission. And research shows that when we impact one woman, we're not just impacting her, we're impacting her children, her family, and her local community.
You recently shared a survey conducted by your commission to the Board of Commissioners. Can you elaborate on what the Community Health Needs Assessment is and how that's connected with the Healthiest Capital County Campaign Initiative?
Sure. So I was describing a survey, a community poll that we had done. This was for 125 respondents. There were majority women in the 25 to 54 age group, and 80% of them have had at least one child. And they told us the issues that were most important for them, first being employment, second childcare, and they also told us that there is a lack of information about the resources which was preventing them from solving their own problems. So we collected this data ourselves, and then it was important for us to make sure that this tied, how it tied with the overall community, what we were hearing from Wake County in general. And that's when we reached out to the Community Health Needs Assessment. Now this is a process that Wake Human Services, along with various different organizations here, they conduct it every 3 to 4 years. It's an in-depth survey of what are the needs out there in the county. And we tried to tally the two together, and basically we found a good correlation. Number one on the community health needs assessment was employment, and number 7 was caring for family. So the two issues that we heard from women tied nicely with the priorities that we were seeing as a whole in Wake County. So that was an important validation for us as we were setting our own focus. Now, the Healthiest Capital County Initiative was launched last year. It's, again, a county-wide initiative. It was spearheaded by Commissioner Joe Bryan, and it's led by the Wake Human Services. It's a group of public, private, nonprofit organizations coming together. We were celebrating the fact that Wake County was named the healthiest county in North Carolina 4 years in a row. But along with that, the goal was to raise the bar and become the healthiest capital county in the United States. So the group came together to think about the priorities, where are we going to focus our efforts on, and our role from Commission for Women, our role into this effort was to provide the voice of women in providing inputs to what could be those strategic priorities to go after.
Okay. What are some of the Commission's goals for this year?
Our goals, as I mentioned, we are focused heavily on touching issues that impact employability for women in Wake County. We have threefold goals. The first one, now in the past we have been conducting numerous workshops related to jobs. So resume building, interviewing skills, mentoring them on creating a professional job profile on LinkedIn. And we do a lot of this work with our partner organizations like Dress for Success, Interact, Urban Ministries. And our goal for this year is to touch more women through these workshops and support their job-seeking efforts. The second one is childcare. And this is an issue, an important one, that impacts employment. And if you look at some of the hard facts in Wake County, 1 in every 7 children are living in poverty. And 1 in every 4 is living in a single family household. They are our future. What are we going to do about these children, making sure that they are in safe environments while their parents go out to work? It's an important issue, and we'll be focused on raising awareness about this in the community. And the third important aspect for us is going to be finding the right ways to engage with the community in real time and being more effective in how we disseminate information. And we have actually done some efforts last year. We are heavy users of technology now, and last year we launched into social media. So we are on Facebook and Twitter. The tag is WakeCCW, and the citizens can connect with us. Please find us, follow us, like us, and we want to have that dialogue in real time. You can also get information about the Commission on WakeGOV.com, Women's Commission.
Okay, Moni Singh, the chair of the Wake County Commission for Women, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Keep up with the latest Wake County news by visiting us online at wakegov.com/news or on Facebook or Twitter. That's our show for today. Thanks for watching.